This is Gilbert Andrew Garcia of A Tip from Gilbert, talk, inspiration, and prayer. Listen to my show every Monday from 11 to 12 on KWWJ 1360 AM, KYOK 1140 AM, KCOH at 1230 KCOH.com, Sangeet Radio at 95.1 FM, 1460 AM, KNTH News Talk 1070 AM, The Answer, and Latino Sports, KEYH 850 AM. Call in at 832-570-8075 and follow me on social media. See you then. Gilbert Garcia with a tip for me. Houston, Harris County, here I am. Gilbert Garcia with a tip for me. Talk, inspiration, and prayer. Thank you, studio audience. And I have my guest, Johnny Carson, and I'm showing my age, had Ed McMahon. And I believe, isn't it Conan and Brian that has Andy? Mm-hmm. And, of course, Jimmy Kimmel has the guy, I forgot his name, but yes. you know who I mean. Well, I have Ruby Dang. Yeah, so she knows how to laugh on cue and all those great things. Well, we have a lot of guests that are going to be calling in today. And so, it's a wonderful time because, first of all, we're going to be celebrating here Juneteenth very soon. That's right. Yep. And Juneteenth is extraordinary history. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. And I asked one or two people to call in to talk a little bit about what Juneteenth may mean for them. And then, of course, we have all FIFA all the time. And all of you who are out there, I'm trying to get more people to sign up for my social media and all those sorts of things that I don't understand, but the young people in my firm do. And so I am doing things where I'm going to be sending text messages to the stadium during some of the games. I'm going to be sending them to and social media, also to the Fan Fest. And please click on there because we're going to have some giveaways, including a raffle. If you sign in, you're eligible for 6 tickets to the Dynamos.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, and I have I got to tell you, our firm has great seats. They're right there, like on the 50-yard line, midfield. And, of course, you can go to the club, which means in case it's too hot, you want to be in the AC.
It's nice to escape.
Yes, and you can have all the food and drink you can eat. And you have free parking. It's awesome. It's a really fun deal. And so we have a lot of different giveaways and this sort of thing for people that want to sign up. And, of course, I have some clips I want to show of soccer, especially. I want to talk a little bit about people said, Gilbert, you did not play soccer. I mean, I don't know why people don't think,
You said it was invented back then?
Yeah, if soccer was invented, not by Gilbert Garcia, but I played like when it was just a stone rock. Yes. But I have some pictures of me with my team called Primo. And my nickname was the Assassin. Can you believe that?
Wow,
yeah.
I can.
Yeah, because I was always aggressive. I was the center fullback, which means my job was to make sure no one got behind me to score. And so we'll talk about that. And, oh, my God, I saw Germany. Talk about a clinic. They put on a clinic. But, again, you're talking about a small country, Curacao. Yeah. Hopefully I said it correctly. Yeah. And Germany, which has been playing soccer for, 200 years, right. Something like that. But, my goodness, their passing is just fantastic. And I'm going to show one or two clips from my son's soccer because my son played soccer since he was about 3 or 4 years old. I think I have a picture of him when he was 3 or 4 years old playing soccer, and we'll put him on in a minute. And then, of course, I have him when he was in middle school, and we won the championship 2 out of 3 years, and that third year we got to the semifinals. And my son scored 85 goals.
Wow, 85 goals.
Yeah,
wow.
in 3 years, and they retired his cleats.
Wow,
yes,
how great.
And then he played in high school, and so it was just a wonderful part of our life. All my sons, all 3 of them played soccer, and they were all very good athletes. And I coached for 40 seasons, Ruby.
Wow.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. And then I want to talk about the Fan Fest because, what's interesting about the Fan Fest, first of all, it's packed.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I mean, I tried to go. It was packed. I couldn't get in, but there were people milling around, and you could see all the different bars and restaurants. There were people all having a great time. It was just incredible. and I can only imagine what it is at the games. I'm going to be going to 2 games. One of them, I think, is Saturday, and then another one. No, wait a minute. I think one is Friday, and then the next one is the following Saturday. So I have 2 games, and
well, I want to
quite
hear about how you're going to get there. So
well, I know. Well, the good news is I don't live too far.
Oh, that's right.
But as it relates to how Houston and Harris County and the world is getting to the game, guess how they're getting there? Houston Metro.
That's right.
For all
Way
those
to go, Metro.
Bill King and all these
Yep.
guys that are always bashing Metro, you know what I mean? You cannot put on an event like this
That's right.
without mass transit. And I'm going to show a clip, Ruby. There must have been 1,000 people waiting for the rail.
Yep.
And can you imagine if we did not have mass transit and the rail and all the things that for everyone is always, well, it's not this, it's not that. You can't do these events. And we got to hurry up and connect that University line, which goes east-west from the rail to the bus rapid transit. Because if you don't connect it, of course that bus rapid transit is going to have poor ridership. The whole point was to connect them so you have a system. I mean, that was the point. And of course, I don't know where we're going to be because I understand Metro's now diverting money that we had 2 referendums to get more money to transit to things that some people think, including me, that the city should be paying for, like roads and everything else. But we're going to go through a lot of these things and more. So I want to go back to Juneteenth because I was getting the president's Emancipation Proclamation. And when you read it, it's such an extraordinary document. And I'm just going to paraphrase just a couple of things. So this was read by the President of the United States, and it's a proclamation. He goes, whereas the 22nd day of September in the year of our Lord, 1862, a proclamation was issued by the President of the United States containing the following. So here's what he said. That on the first day of January, in the year of our Lord, 1863, all persons held as slaves within any state or designated part of a state, the people hereof shall then be in rebellion against the United States, shall be then henceforth, I know this is difficult language, and forever free. Forever free is a key word. Whether you are, again, all persons, I'm going to read that line again because I know I'm going too fast. All persons held as slaves within any state or designated part of a state. So that means any other state that's in rebellion against the United States shall then be forever free. And the executive government of the United States, including the military and naval authority, will recognize and maintain the freedom of such persons.
Wow, that's powerful.
That's powerful. And will do no act or acts to repress such persons or any of them in any efforts they may make for their actual freedom. So in other words, he's saying every one of the states, if you're a slave or any sort of state that's fighting against the United States or the Confederacy, any slave is now free. And the government's going to protect you. Unbelievable. And so it goes on to say many other things. And then he goes, I'm going to go to another part. It says, now, therefore, I, Abraham Lincoln, President of the United States, by virtue of the power in me vested as Commander-in-Chief, of the Army and Navies of the United States in time of actual armed rebellion against the authority and government of the United States, and as a fit and necessary war measure for suppressing said rebellion, do on this first day of January in the year of our Lord, 1863, in accordance with my purpose to do so, publicly proclaim for the period of 100 days from the day first above mentioned, order and designate as the states and part of states wherein, boy, this is difficult language, people here are respectively on this day against the United States are willing. And then he listed all the states, Arkansas, Texas, Louisiana. He went through all of them. And by virtue of the power and for the purpose I do order and declare that all persons held as slaves within such designated states and part of states shall be free. Incredible. And if you look, there is an incredible mural there in Galveston, and I don't know if you can zoom in on it here, incredible mural. And then there, of course, is that marker that the Historical Commission did in Galveston. And again, why we call it Juneteenth is because it took some period of time. And so I'm going to go through that. It says, this is the history behind Juneteenth. It says Juneteenth, short for June 19th, which is the day, marks the day when federal troops arrived in Galveston, Texas in 1965 to take control of the state, which is Texas, and ensure that all enslaved people be freed. The troops' arrival came a full 2.5 years after the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. So in other words, people were freed by virtue of the decree or proclamation by the president, but most states didn't know. And how could they not know? Because we did not have, social media, we didn't have news, we didn't have TV, we didn't have all those things. So word did not get to Texas till they arrived in 1865, 2.5 years later, to declare, you guys, all slaves are free. Can you imagine that?
Yes.
Think about all the slaves that were killed, hurt, all the property that was taken, all that for those 2.5 years that didn't have to happen.
Right.
And then what's interesting, it was General Gordon Granger who stood on Texas soil and read General Orders Number 3, quote, "The people of Texas are informed that, in accordance with the proclamation from the executive of the United States, all slaves are free." Wow. What powerful. And so that is what Juneteenth is all about, which is not just to celebrate when the slaves were freed, but to really talk about when we found out in Texas. And that is why it is so incredible that that Galveston is such an incredible, and I know everybody's sending me lots of things about Metro. We're going to talk more about Metro in a moment, so please keep them coming. Here's another thing. It says here, after the war came to a close in the spring of 1965, General Granger's arrival in Galveston that June signaled freedom for Texas' 250,000 enslaved people. 250,000 slaves in Texas. And of course, it didn't happen overnight, but of course that slavery in America was formally abolished with the adoption of the 13th Amendment. And so what extraordinary history. And so I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that was coming up. We'll probably talk more about it on Monday next week. But I'm now going to turn to, let me show people that picture of me when people say, Gilbert, you did not play soccer. Do I have that picture there, producer? There you go. First of all, that is me blown up. Show me the team picture. Do you have that one, Mr.
Are you number 27?
That's me.
Okay.
That handsome guy with all that hair. I don't know what happened to me. Look at all the hair that we all had. But that was me. Let's see, first of all, the team picture. Now you're going through all the pictures. You probably don't have it then. That's okay. Blow it up. Let me see me. It was the one that was cropped. That is my team picture of Primo. And it was a club team, but it was our high school club team. And we ended up getting essentially what was the equivalent of the city championship, but we lost 2 years in a row. Oh. But it was extraordinary. I played 2 years of high school soccer, and it was fantastic. I had a great time. And of course, I always taught my kids that, because I coach so often, that remember, if one of us scores, we all score. And we had such great success, not because of the coaching, but partly because the kids were so great, but the thing about the kids was they didn't play individual, they played team soccer. And it reminds me, there's a wonderful movie called Miracle,
Right.
which is about I think it's the 1980 hockey team
yeah.
by the United States. And when Herb Brooks, the coach, was trying to pick players, a lot of the boosters were saying, as he was picking players, and remember, this is the old days when it really meant something, before they all were pros. Actually, okay, there's my team picture. Click my team. We're getting to the team picture real quick here, team.
They didn't even go on to play college soccer?
No, they did not. And you know what? A lot of the Division I and soccer and all that, this goes back to essentially 1981, really wasn't
Yeah, I know.
big.
I don't remember soccer in
That's
high
right.
school.
It wasn't big the way it is now.
No,
And the World Cup was very big, but not here.
Right, that's
no one
right.
had ever even heard of the World Cup.
Yeah, it's finally getting attention
Yep.
here.
And, well, we're going to get that picture in a minute. Continuing, it was just such an incredible thing, because the boosters were talking to Herb Brooks, and they were saying, well, you're not picking the best players. And, of course, back then, these were really like the college all-stars.
Right.
Before the Dream Team
Yeah,
and all these things, which I don't know. You know, my whole view is the Dream Team is people that dream for greatness.
That's right,
Rather than
yeah.
are already playing, getting
Alright,
paid
yep.
a bunch of money and all that
Right.
kind of stuff. But going back, there's my team picture. Is that it, Mr. Producer? Is it on the air? Can you blow that up? That is a great team, Primo. And those are my colleagues. I remember them all like it was yesterday. And then we zoomed in on me. I don't know if you can see me. Let's go
Yeah.
back to me. There I am,
Yeah.
number 27, with hair and all. But
That's
I
right.
remember on the show, in the movie, he said, you're not picking some of the best athletes. And the coach said, I'm not looking for the best athletes. I'm looking for the best team.
Yeah.
And that was the whole point.
Yeah.
And I believe that that's why our team had such success, because it wasn't about, you know, one individual player. It was all about a team.
Right.
And everyone either had success together or they did not have success
Right.
together. But
Right.
there was no one that just sort of said, well, I scored or I did this. It was all, you know, I would always say if they score on one of us, they scored on all of us.
Right.
And if one of us scored, that means we all scored. So I want to show that picture of Metro in that little clip. People say, you know, and you know who you are out there. Shame on you guys that are all anti-Metro. Instead of saying, how can I make Metro better? You just want to bash it. And that's not real leadership, in my opinion. Look at this. This was on the news. This is on the news. I forgot what channel it was. Look at that crowd. Channel 11. Look at that crowd. Those are people waiting to get on the rail
Wow.
after the game. Look at that.
Wow, that's incredible.
There's got to be, you know, several hundred
Yeah.
people there, maybe even 1,000 people. And here's the thing. Can you imagine if we did not have Metro? All those people would be trying to get to the game in a car.
Right, that's
and
right.
how the heck are they going to do that?
That's right.
You can't.
Yep.
Because already, you know, all the traffic is paralyzed. We have a caller real quick. So let me get Representative Ron Reynolds. Representative, are you there? Representative Ron Reynolds. Come on down. You're the next contestant on A Tip from Gilbert. Ron Reynolds, are you there, my friend? Well, we're having some technical difficulties. Ron Reynolds, if you're on the phone, please hang up and call again. And I know Boris Miles is trying to call in. Senator, please call in to the show. And remember, Senator, it is 832-570-8075. And of course, we have Bishop Dixon, who's going to be calling in as well. So we're waiting for Bishop Dixon. But go back to that clip. I want to just show it again, and maybe you can slow it down. Look at all those people waiting to get on the rail, to get wherever they got to go.
No, I think that's important because we want to continue to promote our city, right? And one thing is logistics. And, you know, I think that showing in this capacity that we can handle it, hopefully it'll, again, bring more attention to the city.
There's no doubt in my mind that had we not have the rail system, FIFA would not have come to Houston.
Right.
Because I'm sure they said, well, how are everybody going to get it to the games?
Yep.
And we probably said, well, we have this rail system that goes to the east end. It goes into the southeast area of Houston. And, of course, it goes through all of the central part of the city. So let's get Representative Ron Reynolds on.
Hey, Gilbert, can you hear me now?
Representative, I can hear you. You got me and my sidekick, Ruby Dang. And
all right.
And first of all,
a dynamic duo.
There you go. I know you've got some things that you're working on right now, but you got certainly a few minutes. Number one, get your thoughts together. I want to ask you about Juneteenth. But before we go there, I don't know if you saw the clip that I showed of the amount of people trying to get on the rail. For all those naysayers that talk all anti-rail and this and that, you know what? I say hooey on all of them, because at the end of the day, we couldn't do these events, whether it's the World Series, the Super Bowl, all these grand events, without rail. So did you see all those people? There must have been about 1,000 people trying to get on that rail. I'm not kidding. It was just packed.
Let me just say, I want to thank you as former chair of Metro Board for having the vision and the leadership and the wherewithal to support great mobility for Houston Harris County. Yes, we do need rail, and we need to make sure that we promote rail, because a lot of times people don't even understand how much easily accessible it is, right? To ease congestion, to ease our carbon footprint with vehicle emissions. I mean, there's so many great benefits from using rail. So I think as we continue to grow like we have and prayerfully will continue to do, because we're the best place to live, work, and play, we need great transit options, and rail is one of the best things. So yes, I'm a big believer in it. I use it when I can, and I think that it's a hidden gem that too many people, quite frankly, don't utilize enough.
Well, what's interesting, Representative, is because we did our own referendum, which we won. Ruby,
Yes.
we ready for this? 77% of the vote supported more transit, and of course, Karen Patman did one a couple of years after us, and I think it was almost 70%. And so, Representative, what's interesting is what the polls say is people that don't use rail, they still support the rail. You want to know why? To get the other guy's car off the road.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because when you see that mass people waiting to get on the rail, if you had a car for all those people, because of course we're so car-centric, and even if you had 2 people in every car, think about all those cars that would be there on 610 freeway.
Absolutely.
I mean, it'd be crazy.
Absolutely.
But I want to get to something, if you don't mind, Representative, which is Juneteenth. I read
Yes.
earlier some of the clips from the Emancipation Proclamation. It is so powerful to read that and to think about the 250,000 enslaved persons here in the state of Texas. Just imagine what it would be like that they were freed, but they did not know for 2 years.
They didn't know. That's right.
Can you imagine
Think about that, man. That's mind-boggling, right? They had no idea, because they were still slaves. They were still on a plantation. They were still labor for the South. And that is what we saw until June 19, when General Gordon Granger and his troops rode into Galveston, Texas being the birthplace of Juneteenth. And I can't talk about Juneteenth, Gilbert, without talking about 2 people. One is my former colleague, State Representative Al Edwards.
Yes.
He was one of the first architects of Juneteenth, moving for it to be a state holiday. And then our late, great, a dear friend of yours, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, who went above and beyond and got a national Juneteenth holiday, something that she did several years back, when many people thought it could never happen. So only this arguably African American holiday after Dr. Martin Luther King Day. So it is two Texans that help to really tell the story. And so, yeah, Juneteenth is really about freedom. And when we think about where we are in 2026, where many of our freedoms are under attack with the MAGA extremists that are trying to roll protections of voting rights and civil rights and human rights, you know that we've made significant progress since that very day. But in many instances, we're reminded of just how far we still have to go to fully realize Dr. King's dream, where people will be judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. And so I pause, I celebrate and reflect on every Juneteenth, but also it's a reminder too of how we have to continue to be engaged and work to realize and perfect the democracy that we all should have, where everyone is equal. We don't have racial disparities, income inequality based on, racial disparities and health access and unemployment and incarceration. So there's still so many things that are dictated, unfortunately, by race, and that shouldn't be the case in 2026.
I'm so glad you brought up Representative Al Edwards, because I did not know the history. And Ruby, I don't know if you're aware, as I was reading all about Juneteenth, et cetera, there is a statue there in Galveston, and you would think that statue is about General Granger, but you know what? It's not. It is Representative Al Edwards, because
correct.
I'm going to read this if you don't mind here, Representative.
Yeah, please.
It says, therefore, the Juneteenth monument of Ashton Villa is not a statue of Granger, but rather State Representative Al Edwards, who is considered the father of Juneteenth. The 9-foot bronze statue of Edwards, a black civil rights leader, is known by locals as the legislator. The statute holds up a 1979 legislation declaring Juneteenth a Texas state holiday.
Wow.
I did not know that glorious history.
Yes.
And did you know him?
I did. I knew him until his death.
Tell us about him. I mean, he must have.
Here's a fun fact.
Go.
Here's a fun fact. You mentioned Senator Boris Miles. Well, Senator Boris Miles was first state representative Boris Miles, and he got that seat by defeating a then state representative Al Edwards. And then Al Edwards ran and defeated Representative Boris Miles, and then Representative Boris Miles won the next election. So they kind of seesawed each other until State Representative Al Edwards decided not to run again, and then the rest is history. But that is the seat that Boris Miles once held. That was the seat of Al Edwards. Al Edwards that was one of his biggest missions as a state representative. He worked tirelessly for years and years and years until he was able to get it passed. He was a very nice gentleman, very family oriented, a Christian man, but he was someone who didn't make a lot of noise in terms of boisterous speeches. He wasn't flamboyant, but he really was a man that worked very hard in his community and did a lot for his community. He left behind a legacy in Juneteenth that we'll never ever forget. I mean, the statue in Galveston, I've taken my kids there so they can see it and learn. It's an attraction. It's a national attraction that people come from all over the country to the birthplace of Juneteenth, Galveston Island, and many people take that tour and they see it. And so yeah, it is a great part of Texas history, and I'm just blessed to have known him. We didn't serve together because when I got to the legislature, he was already out. And Boris Miles was the state representative, so we never did get a chance to serve. But I did do an internship at the Capitol for Sylvester Turner and Rodney Ellis, and I met him and admired his great work that he did as a legislator.
Well, people know that I'm a CNBC contributor, and I had a call from CNBC today asking me about my view of the Obama Center opening up here around Juneteenth.
Right.
which I believe is this weekend in Chicago.
That is correct.
And so they interviewed me, and I,
Oh, nice.
yeah, I said a bunch of things. And you know what? I think, the Obamas have, and of course, I don't know the president, but I know of obviously all the great things that he did. And the
Right.
contrast between what he did and where we are today couldn't be
Oh,
more
Lord.
stark,
Right.
Oh,
right?
You're,
I mean,
you're right about
yeah,
that.
you know,
Amen, brother.
there's an old song saying, you don't know what you got till it's gone.
Ooh.
Well, I think during the Obama presidency, it was going so fast. It was real time. I don't think people really recognize all the wonderful things that was happening at the time until now. And you look back
Yep.
with such fondness because he was always a president that was so measured. He had great respect for
Yep.
people. He always tried to work across the aisle, no matter how difficult
right.
it was. He always looked at the world as something we need to do together. That's when we opened up relations with Cuba.
Right.
That's
Yep.
when we had the climate agreements and all the climate
Yep.
action. He
Yep.
he was the one that really stepped up to, frankly, save the banking system and save.
wow.
Remember all that during the Great
Yeah.
Recession?
Oh, yeah. It was
Uh,
a great. Yeah, exactly.
People don't realize how close we came to capitalism failing. He
Wow.
did all these great things, and of course, for the Latino community, he really focused on DACA, which is how can we find a pathway
Yep.
for
Oh,
kids
yeah. He sure did.
to make them citizens, and of course, he
Right.
looked at healthcare as a government right to the people,
That's right.
and that was, of
Right.
course, Obamacare. But
Yep,
what does it
yep,
mean
the
to you
Affordable
when
Care Act.
when you look back at the Obama administration? And my own view is, I think it's going to be a catalyst for. Oh, golly, Cleo, you're saying all these great things. McLaughlin, I'm going to go through and say all the things you're saying because I see all these wonderful history things you're saying on my website right now, but I'm going to talk about it in a second. But when you go back, all the great things that he did, I believe it's going to be a real catalyst for energy and the Democratic Party. What's your opinion on all that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. First of all, he intentionally set the opening for Juneteenth. The first African-American president of these United States, who obviously has the first presidential library, the Obama Center. In fact, Gilbert, one of the things that's also impressive, a little side note, was that he had 4 African-American prime contractors, not subs, who usually, get a sub role to one of the major Anglo construction or engineering firms, but no, African-American firms. So this is historic, and I think that the significance of opening up on Juneteenth really shows how far that the country came when they first elected Barack Obama in 2008. He was our ancestors' wildest dreams. And you're right, him and First Lady Michelle Obama and their 2 daughters, the first family, they were the epitome of excellence. I mean, his biggest controversy was the tan suit, by all means. I mean, and Michelle's biggest one was when she had the unmitigated guys to wear like a tank top that showed her arms. I mean, come on. Now, just think about that. Those were the biggest scandals that the Obamas had.
That's crazy.
Right?
That is
And
crazy.
Now, look at what we have where you got normalized a president saying, grab them by the pee,
Yep.
or cussing out people, or saying, I'm going to F and bomb them.
Mhm.
I mean, you would have never heard Obama use a explicit language.
Or call our Federal
vulgarity.
Reserve Chairman a loser.
Yeah, loser.
I mean,
You know,
and of course,
people
the great irony is he appointed him. But you keep going.
exactly mocking people with disabilities.
Oh,
Going
yeah.
after people, your political enemies, to punish them by you weaponizing the Department of Justice, enriching yourself through self-dealing, being basically a dictator in chief. I mean, you could go on and on, but the point I'm making is, President, when you think about it, look at how calm and sane things were, and how much camaraderie we had as a nation versus where we are now, where there's so much division and strife and hate, and people are so divided because of his MAGA extreme policies, and our economy is going in the rear view and in the tank based on these tariffs and inflation, everything that he was supposed to be the opposite of, right? He was supposed to be the one that was the businessman, not to mention how many times he's filed bankruptcy and ripped people off, how many judgments he has from civil suits. I mean, you talk about a man that is one of the most immoral people that I've ever seen. I mean, he makes Richard Nixon look like a saint. So yeah. And this President Obama is a reminder to good times in America, not contrary to President Trump saying "Make America Great Again." Well, when was it not great? You know.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I had thought. When was it not great?
Yeah. Yeah. What? At what point is he talking about? So, but the point I'm making is, yes, I'm super excited. I got when we were in Chicago for the corn break, I actually got a sneak peek at the outside. I'm looking forward to going on the inside and really touring it. I'm super excited about this, and I know that I hear there's so much history inside there. I hear there's so much.
I can't wait to see it myself.
To chew on. Yeah, it's such a what a blessing it is to have this, national treasure that'll be such a great place for people to visit, to learn about many things in this country, but certainly having it open on Juneteenth really does hold great significance.
Well, Representative, we're going to jump now. Thank you for calling. I know you've
so
got
much.
things to do,
Hey,
and I
all right,
so
brother. Hey,
thank you for
always good to
calling.
talk to you, my friend. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Representative. That's Representative Ron Reynolds. What a gentleman he is.
Yeah.
He's just a gentleman. But speaking of another gentleman, let's get Bishop Dixon on. Bishop Dixon, are you there?
I am here.
Bishop, this is Gilbert Garcia with a tip from me with Ruby Dang. We just hung up with Ron Reynolds. And first of all, Bishop, how was the swearing in of Abby Kamen?
Well, thank you for having me on. That swearing in was very inspiring. Abby Kamen, our new county attorney for Harris County, has been a real leader, a person of conscience, a person of character and competence and commitment to the struggle to help empower the disempowered. She'll bring a great wealth of experience, expertise, as well as we would say, Gilbert, she's one of us in the fight for the least of these, and to make sure Harris County represents all of its diverse citizens with the kind of legal representation that all of our citizens deserve.
Is she the first female county attorney?
She is the first female county attorney of Harris County in 2026.
Can
Think
you
about that.
Can you imagine 2026 and here it happens? Wow. Well, you know what? Here's another one that's even more mind-boggling, and we talked about it earlier, but I want to get your take on it. When you think about the Emancipation Proclamation, and I read a lot of excerpts already on the air, but in reality, it was in January of 1863 when it was signed, but the enslaved persons, the slaves in Texas, which they estimate were 250,000, did not know about it till 1865.
Yeah.
2 years. Can you imagine all the pain they went through in 2 years that they didn't have to go through?
Right.
Of course, there wasn't media and social media, all those things, but at the end of the day, when you think about it, what a tragedy, but yet what greatness to have Mr. Granger come and announce that all enslaved people are now free.
Yes, it was an announcement that was 2 years old. And to your point, so he's making the announcement in 1865, but to the point, it was a 2-year-old announcement, to be clear. And think about how much more money the enslavers made in those 2 years from the continuation of free labor. And of course, Texas was one of the hardest states to bring into the reality of what emancipation meant, because Texas never wanted to release slaves. And the legacy of that backlash has continued throughout history from that time until now. Texas wanted to secede from the Union and to roll back the freedoms that were granted in emancipation.
Well, it's extraordinary. I was reading so much about it, and I did not know the role that Representative Al Edwards played.
Oh God, yes.
I did not
sir.
know that he is now known as the father of Juneteenth because of all the efforts that he made to get it, essentially recognized by the state of Texas. And there's a
Yes.
statue of him in Galveston where he holds up the legislation declaring Juneteenth a state holiday. That's incredible.
It's an incredible story. Al Edwards is one of the most unsung heroes in the civil rights, human rights movement, certainly in our state and in our city and in our nation. He happened to have been a relative of mine as well, we're cousins. But Al Edwards worked for over 20 plus years battling in the Texas legislature to get Juneteenth, the holiday passed as a holiday. It's incredible to think how much he had to go through to make that happen. You're talking about the history of 1863, then 1865. It was 1866 when the first celebration took place. It was initially called Jubilee Day by the formerly enslaved, and then became Juneteenth. But think about that. 100 years later. Think about 1866, and now it's 2026, and we're battling like we're battling right now. But had it not been for Al Edwards, there would not be a Juneteenth holiday. He fought for it until he got it done, and people laughed at him. I
Wow.
remember
Wow.
people laughing at him, like, Al Edwards, won't you give up on that? That's antiquated. That's not. I mean, I cannot believe all the insults he endured. But he had the foresight and the insight to stay the course until he got it done.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the great Sheila Jackson Lee did it the same thing in Washington.
Yes. So, and think about that. So, from Houston, Texas, we've got two representatives, two elected officials, Reverend Al Edwards, and then the Honorable Sheila Jackson Lee, who carried the bill in Washington and fought to get that passed as well. So we've got Houston claims the father of Juneteenth as a holiday and the mother of Juneteenth as a holiday, both from Houston, and I think we should be proud of that. This coming Juneteenth on Friday, we're having the Reverend Al Edwards Sheila Jackson Lee Juneteenth Empowerment Forum at 10 a.m. at our church, and it's the state NACP, the local NACP. We've got leaders from around the state coming in for that. But we've named it in honor of the father and mother of Juneteenth so that their legacies will inspire us for generations to come.
Oh, how wonderful. I did not know that. How fantastic. I'm going to change gears on you because when you think about what's happening with FIFA and all the soccer and everything, what do you see or what do you feel when you hear all these Metro naysayers, and you know who they all are. I've already named some, but we don't need to name them all. Ultimately, I had a clip that I shared here on the social media where there must have been 1,000 people waiting to get on the rail after the game. And, we need mass transit more than ever. And we could never pull off these events without mass transit, whether it is a Super Bowl, whether it's the NBA Finals, all these things that we take for granted, this World Series, now FIFA, without mass transit. And so sometimes I say to people, come on, rather than keep throwing stones, why don't you make Metro better? Show some real leadership and make it better.
Yes. Well, I tell you, Houston is 30 to 40 years behind in terms of mass transit and our transit system, at least that now. When I was on the board, Gilbert, of Metro during the, under Mayor Bill White, I learned then the history is what made us so, what put us so far behind. That obviously, the city fathers back in the day, they were more interested in oil and gas and pouring concrete and steel. So they fought the development of mass transit, which is why we have such little, we've made such little progress. We've got to come into the 21st century. And when we talk about Houston being a global city, you cannot be truly a global city without global mass transit and public transit. So that is absolutely a necessity. and we've got to do better. In fact, I was calling back then for a summit on mass transit, a regional summit on mass transit. It still has not happened, and that's often because people don't want to face the fact that we've got to move beyond the antiquated idea that we can build enough freeways in order to come into traffic. It's impossible. It's just impossible.
Impossible. Well, I'm gonna go to another subject, if you don't mind here, Bishop, which
Please.
is it appears, and I'm going to have an asterisk there because we've heard this before, but we have an arrangement to stop this war with Iran. And, when you think about wars, no one really wins from wars. There's some that are sort of very important, like freedom, the Civil War, things like World War II. But things like fighting for oil, fighting for things of this nature, it just seems like it's, you're just putting young people of color to send them out there to, to fight these wars so other people can benefit from whatever the policies they may be. Ultimately, what do you think? Do you think we're going to finally have peace? And if you could say a few words about peace, maybe a short prayer, because we need peace. There are innocent people that are really the true victims, whether it's over there, whether it's in Lebanon, whether it's Gaza, whether it's in Israel and other places.
Well, Gilbert, your consciousness about this is so on point and so timely. The reality is, as students of history, we learned the unfortunate long after wars take place that often the motivations were not the motivations that made the headlines, right? That there are for-profit profiteers who benefit from wars, and the public is given a story that's not the real narrative. And I'm sorely afraid that in this war of choice that we're into right now, there won't be any public benefit. It's a gross misrepresentation, one, of the real purpose and cause for the war, and then two, I think it's a gross underestimation of how much it costs citizens. We spent billions of dollars. I think the last time we talked about this. We're now $70 billion into this war, and that half of that money could have saved public education. We could have saved health care for millions of people. So much more good for the public could have been done with the proper use of that funding, and so that's an issue. We could have revitalized small businesses. I mean, there's so much we could do if we had the will to do the right thing for the right reasons, and that's empowering the people who need it the most, which uplifts everyone. It's unfortunate. I finally answer to that, Brother Gilbert, that there's also the suspicion that while we hope for a ceasefire for the war to be discontinued, there's also the suspicion that the war may be caused to be prolonged because of political angles and political agendas in order to substantiate the need to call for the state of an emergency to continue this presidency beyond November 2028. Listen, we are in a state of absolute ahistorical events happening, things that we've never seen before that do not fit within a historic context of what's realistic. And I think we have to be prepared to experience the absolutely absurd. Democracy is under severe attack. Voting rights have been gutted. The Civil Rights Act now is the next agenda item for this regime to undo this. Can imagine that. The Civil Rights Bill is the next target by this regime.
I mean,
it's on and on and on. And I'll see. I'm sorry, I'm talking too long.
No. Keep going.
But I think that we need to understand the severity of the moment. We're not in a normal moment. And so expecting normalcy, I think, is an unrealistic expectation. Wow, so it's to be normal that we should back out of this war, end it as quickly as possible. But unfortunately, the abnormal has too often proven true in this new environment. This geopolitical environment we're in now is about greed, power, and the elimination of any threat to that. And that's an unfortunate place from which to maintain a government.
I saw an item, and you got to be careful about what you see because you got to fact check. So I haven't fact checked this, but they say that, or what I read was part of the agreement with Iran is we're going to be sending them this is what it said, Ruby, $600 billion to go rebuild the things that we just destroyed. Can you imagine that? That can't be correct. It just can't be, because that's such a staggering amount of money. But even if it's half that, I mean, at the end of the day, we should be spending that money here for people that need homes, homeless people, for food, for people that are food insecure, for public schools. We should be spending that money here.
Yes.
And we're the ones that created that chaos and bombed those things and destroyed them. Oh my God, it's just just hard to imagine.
I wonder if there's going to be a resort built with that.
There you go. That's right.
I can tell you this, as we already know, people are profiting from the manufacturing of the munitions related to the war, are the people who are a part of this regime. And so it's enriching people. That's the point I'm making, that people are getting, richer and richer and richer on the backs of taxpayers in a war of choice that has nothing to do with justice and peace. It has to do with economic power and global power. And that is really atrocious. And let me just say this. At the same time, here in America, just a week or two ago, the Minnesota Republican Convention took place. They literally held a moment of silence for Derek Chauvin, the officer whose knee was on the neck of George Floyd to kill him. These are the kind of times that we're in today, and you haven't heard any outcry. There's been no rebuke of it. We are in a really insanely time when human rights are under attack and really non-existent in the minds and consciences of some people.
And when you think of Minnesota, it's always been a bastion of helping people, whether it was Walter Mondale, he's from Minnesota, whether it's Hubert Humphrey, I believe he's from Minnesota, Wellstone, all these, it's just hard to believe that what you just said is correct. And I know it's correct, but it's just hard to believe. Bishop, thank you for calling in, and please call in anytime. We really enjoy you, and thank you for all that you do in the community.
Thank you, and community, look out for the invitations. You'll see the stuff on Facebook about the Al Edward Sheila Jackson Lee NAACP Juneteenth Empowerment Forum this Thursday, June 19th, 10 o'clock at the Community of Faith Church. We love to have the whole community to come be a part of it. And Gilbert, thank you for your leadership and for your voice of vision always.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you, Bishop.
God bless.
Yes, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bishop Chuck, he's a real true statesman.
Yes.
He really is.
Yes.
I want to go back to some of these things people said. Where's that? Was it a Cleo? Was there a woman? Cleo. Back in the day, Cleo McLaughlin. Back in the day, the late Congressman Mickey Leland led the 1-cent sales tax to fund the rail system. How great history. Thank you for sharing that. And she had a great thing about, here's another one. Cleo said, Miss McLaughlin, thanks Gilbert for supporting Jarvis Johnson on his endeavors. For your information, Jarvis was a very good soccer player in high school at the Chinquapin School in Baytown. He was a goalkeeper. I'm so glad you told us that. So, see, you don't know about all these things. You know what? As soon as I'm going to hear it, and Ashley Gorski says, goal! So does Alex. Goal! I see it from everyone. Next thing you know, they're going to say, and Ruby Dang used to play soccer, and I'm going to go, what? Holy cow. But continuing, I know we have an Ernie. Before we get to Ernie, I want to show that clip of my son's header. Do you have that? First of all, show him when he played when he was like 3 years old. Because, of course, my son, was such a wonderful soccer player, and I so love all those moments. Here's him when he was like 3 years old, and his cleats are all about, maybe 4 inches big. Let's get, there he is. Click that. That's Ben Garcia.
Wow, look
at
at
that.
that.
The ball is way bigger than his foot. And look at that form he's got. Look at that foot, right? And look, his shirt goes all the way down to his,
His knees.
Yes,
right?
yep, to his shin guards. And there he is. And that might have been the only time he kicked the ball, because whenever we would go there, you know what he would do? Right next door was some monkey bars. You know what those are, right?
Yes, uh-huh.
And he would see the monkey bars and go to the monkey bars. And he would get all hot and sweaty, and people would look at him like, God, he must have really ran hard at the soccer game. No, he was at the monkey bars.
There you go.
And then he just go a little bit bigger then. You got another picture of him?
You know, talking about that, I didn't realize, I always, because you mentioned passing earlier
Yep.
in soccer, I didn't realize that that's not the way it was initially played.
That's right.
That over time, folks developed that new method of playing.
That's
So
right. I think
it was interesting.
I think it was in England.
Yes, it was
There's
in
a
England.
movie about that.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. There's a movie about everything.
I know it. I know. This is my son when they won the championship at this particular tournament. That's him.
Well, at least the cliques fit better here, right?
Yeah,
Or-
actually, yeah, that's exactly right. That's him when he was in high school. I think that was his junior year. But let me see some of the other pictures there real quick, Mr. Producer. If you could put some of those up real quick. So I want to. This is him. Now can you kind of zoom in on that and play that again? That's me right there, Coach. See, that's me. Golly. Can you zoom in on it or no? Oh shucks. Well, that's him. That's one of his scores. You know, one of his goals. We knew it was going to happen. He was just a scoring machine. And here's this incredible shot. Watch this. That's a header. Look at him. Dude, can you zoom in on that or no? Doggone it. So this is the high school game. This is the championship game. I'm sorry, middle school championship. We practiced that and practiced that and practiced that. It looks just like me. Look at the right wing. That's my son, the center forward. Go back.
And my son is the opposing team.
Well,
He wasn't playing, but it was his school.
I think you might be right. So look at that header. Bam! Right there. The right wing hit it. And these are all experts. And they had practiced that and practiced over and over and over. And it was just fantastic.
Practice makes perfect.
That's exactly right. That's exactly
And
right.
to be part of a team, right?
That's right.
Not just being an individual. You have to play as a team.
Look, there's another one. That was a penalty kick. And look, when that goalie, he never had a chance. When Ben's got a penalty kick, they didn't have a chance. No, it's unbelievable. That also is middle school. And so it's fantastic. Let's get Ernie on. I'll get all these clips organized because we're going to have a lot more FIFA, a lot more soccer. Of course, we're going to have Chris Canetti again. We're going to have a member of the group that what's the right word? They're organized all the Congo players here in Congo. He's essentially a leader in the Congo community. We're going to have him on our show next week. So that's Ben after he just scored. Look at that. He got it. Yep, look at him. He's giving a high five to himself. And you know what? It's fantastic. Let's get Ernie on the line. Ernie, are you there?
Yes. Good morning, Gilbert. Good morning, Ruby.
Hey, Ernie.
Tell us about what's going on and what's going on with our good friend Arlette and how's she doing getting ready for all the openings and all the things she's doing.
Well, first, let me start with I love all this history for soccer about your family. I love the Corpus Christi connection because my son played many tournaments on that field. Corpus Christi used to always host various tournaments for the Catholic schools for UCAL. And my son was the MVP.
Oh, how
for,
great.
one of the tournaments, yes, in 8th grade. And so soccer is a big deal to our youngsters, for sure.
Hold that thought.
And I'm very proud of all you've done.
Go
to
back 1 second.
communicate.
I want to hit go. There was a Nori that just did something. She said something. Nori, we are connected on Apple Podcasts. Nori, thank you so much for that. We really appreciate you for doing that. And don't forget, Ernie, I always love Taqueria Laredo. If you never need good carne guisada,
Yep.
that is where to go. Taqueria Laredo.
Yes.
And there's about 3 or 4 locations. But I didn't mean to cut you off. You keep going, Ernie. We've got about
Oh, no,
2
no.
minutes.
It's always, it's always great to have the history because St. Anne's and all the Catholic schools have really benefited from people like you, leaders like you, who took time to teach the importance of curricular sports. Soccer is definitely one of them, and the life learning that you get from soccer is amazing. The patience you learn, the importance of a team. My son today has benefited from all those attributes by playing soccer as a team, and baseball and all his other sports, golf. So truly, this is a fine time for Houston to have the World Cup.
Well,
And thank you, Gilbert, for all the support you're giving Edo, for the support for the community to really advance in their events, such as Arlette.
Yeah, you got 1 minute there,
last
Ernie. Tell us
Edo.
about Arlette and what she's doing. Give us a quick update.
She's supporting the Edo efforts by allowing individuals to have and celebrate FIFA there on her property, which is right there off the 2501 Commerce Street. And we're continuing to engage with different partners for events throughout these 40 days. So it is a lot, but I'm telling you, Metro comes right by there. It's 2 blocks from where she's at. And get this, Metro has a commemorative FIFA World Cup pass. It's
Oh,
for
wow.
$34.
I got to get one
You
of
gotta
those.
get it,
I
Gilbert.
got to get one
You
of
gotta
those.
get it.
Ernie,
It's a really cool pass. I got one, and it's awesome.
I got to get one. And you know what? I'm so sorry we got to sign off. But you know what, Ernie? Thank you for calling in. Thanks for all that you do in the committee at Houston and Harris County. We will see you next time. All right, Houston, Harris County, this is Gilbert Garcia of A Tip from Gilbert, Talk, Inspiration, and Prayer.
Watch and hear my show on YouTube, Facebook, RSS, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify.
And follow me on social media. See you then.